and three. Here we go. Live from the Social Contact Club radio show. We are here in Kingman, 3001 Stockton Hill Road. And today is a special day because normally we broadcast the show from Friday night. But today we're going to be here exactly Saturday. What is the day? Let me check. Leo, what is the day today?
27.
27. Wow, already end of the month.
I
Saturday,
know.
27th March 2021. In this year of misery. But we are not here to give up. We are here because we are fighting back. And we got great people among us. And I'm very proud to say we have great state representative Leo Biasucci with us. And coming soon, also our state senator, SenatorBorrelli, in a few minutes. Today's show is going to be about mostly getting updates from our state representative and state senator. Let me turn around because also we are live on YouTube and I don't want to show my ugly face, but I want to see here Leo Biasucci.
And the crowd.
And the crowd. Okay. Now, the idea is very simple. I want to get, I'm very pleased and thankful for you driving all the way from our Representative Biasucci to give us some important updates about very important things happening in Phoenix. Regardless what happened in Washington, we know the fraud has been going on, but we have good people in our state try to at least bring truth, bring what we need to know, the truth. We want nothing but the truth. And there are also some great bills that give us some hope when all these, sex pools, they're coming from Washington, trying to destroy everything about our Bill of Rights and lives and economy. We're still standing up. So now I'm going to say, Representative Biasucci, before we start, and then I'll shut up. Let's enjoy a moment of Zanna coffee, special espresso.
There it is.
Here we go. And
Good stuff right here.
That's for you, a bag for you. That's your bag. My
Thank you, Luca.
humble gift to you guys with love. Here we go.
Salud.
These are organic beans. And by the way, that's one of the ways I support the show. Differently from the government that they come with a gun in your face, hey, give me your money. We like to ask. And it's a free will. And I give you something in exchange. Government doesn't give you anything. They just grab.
Right.
I say, if you want, I got something good for you. And you give me a little money, I give you something very good. That's the way free market works.
That's right.
Okay? Free will. And we love that. That's what we're also here for. Now, Representative Leo Biasucci, it's my honor to give you the microphone.
Thank
if
you,
you can
Luca.
get a little closer, and we're going to have a perfect audio. You're good
There we
to
go.
Give
You
us
good?
every update to the people, please.
Yeah, so I'll start off with there's two major things happening right now: the border patrol or our border, with the illegals coming across. You have the gun. Biden just came out, said they're going to do some kind of executive order for gun control, concerning, obviously, to hear that. And then, of course, our voter integrity, our elections, which when Senator Borrelli gets here, I'm going to let him kind of jump into that because that's kind of his wheelhouse. He's behind the scenes on making sure what's going on in that situation. With the border, we'll start with the border really quickly. I think everybody's realizing that Biden's policy on the border is a complete disaster. And you guys all know this in this room. And we talked earlier about this. And, like I was telling a lot of the guests here, I have friends who are on the Border Patrol who they understand the situation and they're telling me what's going on there. And a lot of people forget it's not just the Central America and Mexicans that are coming across. They're finding truckloads of Russians, people from Syria, people from Iran, people from all over the world that are coming through. And what they're doing is they're coming across in truckloads, claiming asylum, and then they're not even being processed. So from the Biden administration, they give a gag order to these Border Patrol agents. So they can't even do their job. They're just processing him, and they're letting him go. No court date. Here he is. Senator Borrelli just came in. So,
Senator Borrelli.
hey, come on in.
I'd love to make an entrance. Thank you.
So you have a situation now where literally people are pouring across this border. We can't process them properly. We're sending them to bases in Texas to just store them and then let them go. People need to realize that how serious this is, right? We need the National Guard. Arizona, my opinion right now is the government needs to send the National Guard today. I know he's talking about it needs to be funded. We need federal money. No, you know what? There's $1 billion rainy day fund. We need to spend the money and send them to protect this border because you have people coming across. And when I hear that people from Iran are coming across, you think they're friendly?
No, this is serious, by the way.
There's no way.
So concerned. Let's put it in this way. What's happening here? Let's not forget Germany, when invaded Norway, it didn't invade it with the tanks.
That's right.
6 months before, they sent people called sappers Mr. Borrelli is an expert, he's a Marine. Bottom line, they infiltrators. They can infiltrate 10, 20,000 people, 30,000 people. We're talking China has millions of potential people. All they need to send a few thousand of these people in infrastructures. Don't forget, this is my conspiracy theory, okay, whatever, but think whatever. Kingman, we got shut down the internet for over a week. We
Right.
had the Texas out of the blue, the grid went down.
That's right.
I mean, what if? And I'm just saying if. And by the way, audience, whenever I say conspiracy, is me talking. Doesn't mean that Senator Borrelli or Representative, Biasucci believes in what I believe. But this is truly my concern. Remember, in war, anything they can get away, they will do it. That's
Trojan
the bottom line.
horse.
So
right?
you have now the opportunity. The borders are wide open, and this is my official opinion. Mr. Biden is a puppet in the pocket of the Chinese. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
His best friend with his son. So now all they need to do is let enough people in, get blending in, get a part of the infrastructure. Then tomorrow we can go completely Turkey, call everything shut down. That's just for the beginning. So that's that's why I'm so glad that you're talking about National Guard. We got to protect as much as we can, at least at state level. Please continue.
Yeah, I
I'm
know,
sorry.
and I'll let Senator Burley jump in. It's unfortunately we, the legislature, can't. We can designate the money from
Yeah.
the state and say, hey, we're putting 10, 20, 30 million towards the National Guard. The governor's got to make the call on setting them. So we're putting pressure. And
You put pressure. I mean,
we can put pressure, and he's talked about it the other day that he wants it, but I just don't agree with him wanting to wait for federal dollars because that's not going to come. Right?
That's not even necessary. That's another flaw that I told Governor Brewer when we had the same issue under the Obama administration. Now they're just literally the progressives are hitting the gas on getting their agenda through. I told Governor Brewer that you don't have to wait for federal funds. You've already got the funds. It's called the training budget. It's a completely separate pot of money. You could put our people down there and train on small unit tactics, just being as an observation post or even a listening post for law enforcement. So you can put our troops down there in force. Now, and then of course they always throw the garbage line about, well, posse comitatus, we can't use troops for that. I'm like, well, that's another bovine excrement statement, because what did they use around the Capitol? They used the National Guard around the U.S. Capitol, and they built fences there. So that's another garbage excuse. So you can't use posse comitatus. Posse comitatus is there to protect. It's technically, you're not supposed to use federal troops against American citizens. Now we have a foreign invasion coming across. I mean, what do you count as a foreign? What's the numbers that becomes an invasion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1,000, 5,000? Well, I think that kind of like raises to that level of a description that we have thousands of people's coming across the border, literally with impunity, because they're overwhelmed the Border Patrol. We have Border Patrol agents right now going to Costco getting water and diapers. This is ridiculous. This is not what our people are supposed to be doing. Wow. That's not their job description. So national security, National Guard, border security, I think that kind of like falls into the same definition. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for them to say, well, we need to wait for federal funds for this is garbage. It's a garbage line, because they have money in the training budget that they can actually do this, execute. And they should be armed, by the way, because the drug cartels they're heavily armed. I mean, they're literally guarding the certain portions of the wall down there, the open parts, with rifles, with firearms, with guns, because they're protecting their cargo coming across, their human cargo and their dope cargo. So, I mean, that's garbage, and we cannot have our people down there armed. I know Napolitano tried doing that down there with just basically a dog and pony show. They had troops down there, guard troops, but they were not armed. They had their rifles, but there was no magazines in them, no ammo. Well, they basically just have a very expensive club. So that's really ridiculous. So if we're going to do it, we shouldn't do it half step and put our people down there in force, period. Right. I mean, it's protecting our state. I mean, when you remind the Democrats that this was done in the 1920s under, who was that? Oh, yeah, that's right, Woodrow Wilson, because Pancho Villa came into New Mexico, burnt down the town of Columbus, New Mexico, and he sent federal troops down there to protect the border. So don't say this can't be done. The Democrats have done it. It should be done. It's in the purview of protecting our country, because that's what borders are for. That's why we're a country.
Before I forget, I want to remind everyone that you're listening, in case you're on YouTube and also on the radio, to the Social Contact Club radio show live from the Social Contact Club here in Kingman, Arizona. And we have a special guest directly from Lake Havasu, representing us proudly in Phoenix, our state senator Sonny Borrelli, our state representative Leo Biasucci, and we're here to bring facts, information, and opinions. Of course, I'm the opinionist in this case. They bring the facts, okay, about what's going on, how to stand for freedom, how to reclaim this republic, how to defend this republic. Now, we also have the audience. The audience, of course, they are more than welcome to ask questions. But meanwhile, before we go ahead, I know we have topics we were touching. We have some legislation updates. I would like to give the floor, of course, to our state rep and senator to keep going with the updates. And then we have questions. Go
So
ahead.
just to kind of transition from the border, which we're talking about, and we're talking about guns and being armed. President Biden and his administration, through the whole entire election process, they talked about they're going to ban AR-15s, they're going to ban high-capacity magazines. They've been talking about it. Well, yesterday he made a comment from the administration saying we will put an executive order in that's going to have some kind of gun control. Luckily for us, we saw this coming here at the legislature, and we took steps. HB 2111, which is my bill, co-sponsored by Senator Borrelli as well, and that's literally just saying it's very simple. And we talked about it last week on the show. If the federal government does anything that infringes on our Second Amendment, it's null and void in the state. Not going to apply. We're not going to spend resources. We're not going to spend law enforcement. The courts are not going to hear the case. And what this does is if he decides to ban AR-15s or he decides to ban high capacity, that's not in line with our gun laws here in Arizona. The states created the federal government. People need to continue to remember this. 10th Amendment, right? I mean, this is not the federal government is in charge of us. It's the other way around. And this is true with marijuana. This is true with Jerry Brown when he did sanctuary cities. I mean, they did their own thing. So the Dems argue like, oh, you can't tell the feds what to do. Well, they say that, but when it's convenient for them, they'll tell the feds what to do. So this is one of the most important things I think the state can do right now. It's going to be heard on Monday in the Senate. Senator Borrelli's working that bill right now.
Wow.
If that passes, hopefully the governor, he'd be foolish not to sign that thing. That at least gives us protection in the state saying, you know what, Biden, you can go pound sand if you're going to try to take our second.
Well, I say give him applause. This is amazing news. I'm really proud of that. This is great. This is great.
So Monday you'll be
Thank you.
Right. Monday, it's scheduled for committee of the whole, so which we'll debate. It was on the consent agenda, so which meant it was supposed to just go right to a third read vote, but obviously one of the Democrats pulled it off the consent agenda, Senator Quesada, and because he's probably going to try to amend it, which is fine because I'm prepared for all of his arguments, and we're going to shoot down any amendment he's going to have because we know it's going to be ridiculous. But I'm prepared for all of his arguments, and because these guys are so transparent, because they're going to pull the same thing that no, we can't tell the federal government what to do. And of course, we just got to remind them, well, how's that marijuana law working out for them? I mean,
exactly.
The federal ban on that. And of course, then I'm going to remind them about Jerry Brown signing into their law. That was challenged in the Supreme Court, by the way. It was upheld by the Supreme Court that the state does not have to comply with federal law and use its resources for immigration. So same kind of argument. Well, we could do the same thing, and we're not going to do the same thing, or we're not going to use our resources to enforce federal law. So, if you want our firearms, come and try and collect. Then, of course, I'm going to remind them of other little things because they always want to claim that the federal government's got all this power, and of course, the states can do certain things but can't do certain things, and they always push back. But do you realize that California, Disneyland in California, the California Adventure, they decided they're going to open up on May 1st to let more people coming in, but they're only going to restrict that to California residents.
Wow.
So think about that. So only California residents can go to Disneyland. Well, wait a minute. How are they going to find out that they even know that they're a California resident? Oh, that's right. They're going to have to show an ID. So if they got to show an ID to go to Disneyland, but you can't show an ID to go and vote, give me a break. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, my gosh, this is so target rich for a script of a crazy a sitcom. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, so the writers in Hollywood got to be sitting back just watching what's going on in Arizona because this is just comical, and not just comical, not just Arizona, but the entire country. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean,
crazy.
It's
Crazy
like
times.
it's just like when the county supervisors decided, well, we're going to do an audit. We're going to hire 2 companies to certify our machines are correct. Well, that's not an audit. They just certified that your remote control works on your TV. So like I said, they can call it a ham sandwich, but we all know it's baloney. So anyway,
Senator Borrelli, any updates about the audit?
yes,
Please go ahead.
it's going to be moving forward. it's not like you could just pick up a phone book and say, oh, looks, here's a company that does audits for elections. It's not like that. So basically, Karen Fann has set up picking certain people to do certain things, specialists in each field, because this is not just an easy thing that can just go right through real quick. It can't be done sloppy. It's got to be done very systematic, very tedious, very slow, and we're going to make sure that it's going to be done correctly. And there's going to be full transparency in how the process works. So she's picked certain people for certain portions of it. It's just like SEAL Team 6 or SEAL Team 3 or the Delta Force or whatever force that you're going to put out on the battlefield. Depending on the mission, you have to get certain experts in certain things. So, and a lot of this is just pure logistics. So she's assembled a conglomerate of people, if you will, of different experts in each field, whether it's going to be signature verification, voter registration. We're going to be inspecting 100% physical inspection of 2.1 million ballots. They're going to have the forensic guys that are going to look at the electronic equipment from Dominion and all that stuff. So it's going to be a long, tedious process that's going to be done with full transparency. And so we're moving forward on that. So right now, because of contracts and everything else, they're just crossing T's and dotting I's, and that's, but it's moving forward. And we're deeply committed to this, and we're not going to back off. The Democrats are still throwing out, claiming the big lie. Well, it's just amazing. If the thing was so perfect election, then they should be real eager to prove that. We'll help you prove that it was a perfect election. How's that?
Exactly.
So they should be very open to saying, yeah, let's check it out, because we want to make sure that election integrity is intact. Now, so we're already anticipating things that we're possibly going to find, especially on mail-in ballots. So there's certain things that we need to tighten up on the mail-in ballot system. There's been accusations about Xerox copies of ballots, and being reproduced that way. Basically, now you got counterfeit ballots. So we're already looking at countermeasures for the next election to stop any kind of a counterfeit ballot. And I brought one here, a sample ballot. So only the studio audience can see this, but
they can see it too.
It's really hard to see. It's just a normal looking ballot. It's, on a good stock paper, but it's really interesting. But right here in this corner, Leo, can you help point that?
Yep.
Right here, the yellow dot there. Actually, it's the shape of Arizona, and then there's a little hologram, and it's built into the paper. So you just can't. It's not a sticker. This is all built in there. But there's a little bit of like some kind of chemical or whatever that's in the yellow shape of Arizona, where there's a sensor in there. That a handheld sensor can scan it, and if it doesn't beep, it doesn't signal. Then you can say, wait a minute, this ballot is suspicious. So it may be,
and there's watermarks too, right?
Yeah, it may be this may be a fraudulent ballot. So let's just put it under an ultraviolet light, and hopefully you all can see this.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to see, but yeah, see,
Oh, yeah,
you can see some of it. It's with a black light, you can see that it's kind of like $100 bill, if you will, your money. So basically, we went to a company and asked them to do something, and this is a company that does all kinds of, if you will, currency in other countries.
There you go.
Here you go.
There's the light too.
Yeah, you can actually tell. It's a legitimate ballot. It's being printed. You can't reproduce it. So therefore, nobody machine and decide to stuff a ballot box with a fraudulent ballot. This is actually a great way to make sure that there's 4 different countermeasures in there to prevent any kind of counterfeiting of the ballot itself. So we're already looking forward for the next election on how to tighten up the ballot to make sure they can't be counterfeited. The chain of custody is tightened up. Mail-in ballots, the same sort of thing. So we're looking at this type of things. Now that's, it's going to increase the cost of the ballots. This particular model here is like 20 cents each.
Wow.
So when you add in, 5 million ballots, it's only $1 million. So I think we've got the money for that. And I think $1 million is a great investment to protect our ballots.
Great.
So these are the things that we're trying to tighten up, other legislation on, a whole bunch of stuff. So, I mean, even the permanent early voting list, there's a piece of legislation going through, passed out of the Senate, it's over in the House. that if you haven't voted in the last 4 elections and you're on the permanent early voting list, if you haven't voted in any one of those 4 elections, if you voted in one, you're okay. But if you missed 4 elections in a row, 2 primaries and 2 generals, then you're going to get a notification from the county that says, hey, do you still want to be on the permanent early voting list? If you don't respond, that either means you're either passed away or you moved. So if there's no response, obviously, then we need to take you off the list. But if you still want to stay on there, all you got to do is notify the county that, yes, you still want to be on the Pebble list. The reason why you didn't vote in the last 4 elections is you didn't like it that I was running. So, I mean, these are the kind of things that you can do. So these are the things that we're trying to tighten up. We're trying to purge the list to get rid of non-voters because let's face it, it's also a waste of money when you're sending out these early ballots and they keep coming back.
Yeah.
Thousands of them come back,
Wow.
even in our own county.
That's amazing. Dr. Borrelli, any idea about the time frame for this audit? It seems like a very big process, a lot of organization, a lot of people. What type of deadline do we have, and what you
We're not really putting a deadline on it. We want this to be done properly. We
Yeah.
want to make sure it's not sloppy. It could take anywhere between 20 to 30 days to get
Okay.
a full report on it. And once that report is done,
Wow.
it's going to go out to everybody. So once again, we're going to either, we need to find what's wrong. If
Yeah,
anything was
right.
wrong, we can fix it legislatively.
Yeah.
If we do find out that some things went crazy, then we'll just go from there and deal with that.
And as I say, we go from there, of course. But the sad thing sometimes, we found out already through other courts. For example, I think it was in Michigan. I mean, been coming out lately that fraud was there.
Absolutely.
Fraud was there, and it wasn't about opinion. That was about as you did audit and judges and different things.
Yes.
Now, the point is, what do we do? Because right now we know that, for example, fraud was in many other places and proven by different system, courts, or even just audits, and that nobody wants to talk about it, and we still have people running around the White House thinking that they are the legitimate president. So I'm not going to ask you a question that is $1 million question. Of course, you
No.
cannot have the power to answer. But my point is, you're doing a great job, and I love that. I hope the people, because you're just 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, whatever in Phoenix, but the rest of us. After all, Thomas Jefferson said, and I'm paraphrasing it with my Italian accent, I mean, you will get a tyranny that you allow it.
That's
Yes.
right.
Because if we can go back to sleep and say, okay, whatever, always say, we've been robbed.
Right.
So, somebody robbed me about my freedom. I can stay home and go watch TV. That's the bottom line. What would you do?
No, and really, I mean, this is one thing that concerned me as a representative, right? So I ran for office because I believe that I represent the people the best, right? I believe that I could hear what the people wanted, their needs and concerns, and I could do the job at the state level. So when the election happened, and I had thousands of emails a day, I'm talking literally 1,000 per day coming in from my
Wow.
constituents saying, look into the election, right? And that's what I did. This is why we had the hearing in November with Giuliani.
Wow.
This is why we continue to fight. What concerns me is there are so many people around us, even Republicans, that are so willing to just give up. Just, yeah, it might have been fraud, but whatever. That pisses me off, Luca.
You're
That
right. No,
pisses me off because
You're right.
for me, it's like, then why are you in office?
Yeah.
If you're too scared to push back, all you're saying is look at the damn ballots.
Yeah.
Just take a look.
Yeah.
Nothing there. Move on.
Yes.
Move on. Everybody lick their wounds. We'll fight in 4 years.
Yes.
But for so many people, elected people, to push back and say, don't look at that. Those people need to be gone. In my opinion, they need to be out of office. People need to vote them out because they're not there for the right reasons. They're
Yeah.
more worried about moving up the scale, not making people mad.
You're right.
I was in meetings, closed meetings, when I heard that with people. And that is the one thing that makes me this is what makes me push back even further. This is what I know Sonny says all the time, surrender is not in our creed, right? That's just not how we were wired
no,
growing
can
up.
Can be.
So
Can be.
I will say this to the people right now. This audit's going to happen, right? We're making it happen. It's going to take longer than we want, but we need to make sure we do it right because nobody anticipated Arizona pushing back, right? They thought we're all just going to lay back. This is another reason why I think there's so many illegals coming across. They were banking on these people coming and using them to vote,
Yeah.
right? To continue to vote. And this is what I'm just telling you. We need to do it right to show that, hey, there was or there wasn't, whatever. But if there was, people need to go to jail that
Yeah.
were behind this.
Yes.
Period. I don't care how high up you are.
Yes.
And we as Republicans, that to me is going to give us the fire to come back in 2 years, 4 years, and win this country back. Because it was, in my opinion, it was stolen. I could be proven wrong if they do this audit, but do the damn audit.
Yes. Senator Borrelli, please go ahead.
Well, yeah, to that point about the illegals coming across, it's they're not going to be able to vote for quite a while because that's something that's going to happen. but they're missing this one point, that these illegals coming in, they're going to be counted for the census.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the census is what determines on how many House members that we have in the House of Representatives. See, so now look at what states that they're being sent to.
Mhm.
And now, isn't it amazing that the census data is being delayed now?
Yeah.
Because we have redistricting is supposed to be done this year for 22.
Wow.
So for the new congressional districts and even our legislative districts, the lines get redrawn. So, they're coming in to beef up the numbers for the census. I mean, so California is already losing people are fleeing California. So they have to have something to shore that up. So, California and of course, Arizona, they're trying to turn Arizona blue. If you have more Democrat congressional seats, you can control. If you got the majority in Congress, you can control things. And that's their end game, is having more seats in Congress. And this goes way back on when the Constitution was ratified, the Great Compromise on counting people in Congress for congressional seats. Now, if people don't remember this because we were not born, but it's in our history books, and the Great Compromise about the three-fifths clause, where the southern slave states wanted to count all the slaves for their congressional seats. But we said, wait a minute, no, time out. You can't count them because according to you guys, you believe that they're property. So if you're going to count them as property, then and as like farm equipment, then I get to count my horses, my cattle, my sheep. No. So that was the big Great Compromise. No. You count three-fifths clause. It didn't say anything about slaves. It said those not bound in servitude and those Indians not taxed. So this is the same kind of thing where they want to shore up the numbers so that way they can control Congress. If they would have controlled Congress, then slavery would still exist. So this is what they're trying to do. It's the other end game of the census, and it's amazing how coincidentally the census data is being delayed right now when we get this massive rush coming across the border. That's another thing.
Let's open up some questions. And anybody who would like to have a question, well, they're welcome. Please just come on the side here of the podium. My table. Okay, it's not the podium.
The altar.
Okay. The altar. Bravo, bravissimo. There you go. The Pope now is going to allow you to speak. Speaking is a right. There we go. Another time, please.
Hi, my question is for Leo. My name's Chris Rodardi. I'm really an advocate for unmasking children. This just makes me livid when I see these children wearing masks. And what are we doing at the school district level to get this thing thrown out?
Thank you, Chris. So it's funny you say that. So when the executive order came down from the governor removing the masks and making them voluntary, businesses can decide. I'm looking at this order and I'm like, wait a minute, there's nothing in here about the schools. So I sent a quick message to the governor's staff and I said, hey, did you guys put the school children in this idea about or at least if you're going to do something, very least, say it's up to the districts to figure it out if they want to do it. Because I know Havasu, they'll remove that thing in a heartbeat. The Phoenix liberal cities, whatever, do it. I mean, I'm so over that part. But at the very least, because you're right, the children, how many deaths have, maybe a handful, I think, that have been legitimate from COVID? I mean, it's ridiculous that they're wearing. I was driving in Phoenix to the Capitol on Thursday, and I go by a school every day. And I'm driving by, there's about 100 kids in the playground, outdoors, all with masks on. Wow. It's the most ridiculous thing. I mean, common sense gone. So I would say this. They said, I got a reply back, and they said, look, we missed it. I said, okay, well, fix it. The governor needs to put another executive order in saying, hey, masks are dumb for children because they forgot about it. So I will tell you this. They know it's on the radar, and it needs to happen. If not, we can do something legislatively and do something quickly and just say, hey, look, this needs to be gone from the kids too, because that's probably the most ridiculous. I mean, in my opinion, you're forcing kids to wear a mask when the data doesn't even support that at all. Yeah.
And you're risking getting sick because they're not expelling the bad air.
Right.
But so you have the mayor from Phoenix, Kate Gallego, and Romero, I forget her first name, in the mayor of Tucson. And of course, the superintendent of public instruction, Kathy Hoffman, are all pushing back on the governor. So you got the AEA, the Teachers Association, basically they want to be a teachers union. They're all pushing back on this. They want to make sure that, no, everybody's got to wear masks. So it's the teachers union who runs actually, who has in charge of the superintendent of public instruction, Kathy Huffman. So they're already pushing back on the governor on that. My suggest is everybody needs to go to their local school districts
Yes.
and they need to start standing up for themselves. We're past this pandemic. This is ridiculous. It's gone way too far. We're already unmasking everybody already now. So why does a child need to do it when they already know they're the least vulnerable? And if they do catch it, they've already got over it because their immune system is a lot better than ours.
Yeah.
And my two little sentence, or cents, not sentence, 2 cents. I'm always making mistakes.
Yeah, sorry.
Without being a doctor, but I'm able to read English even with a little bit problem sometimes. I bought a box of this mask. The normally is the average mask that everybody uses out there, okay? And in the box, the manufacturer says, this mask will not stop any virus, period. Now, without even getting to what you read, it's just about proven by laws of, logics, okay?
Right.
I want to catch a virus with that mask the same way I will catch a fly with a fish net, because that's about dimensions.
Right.
Now, we all know that. This is a
Right.
fact. But it seems like this mask at the end is not about safety. It's about who is the boss.
Right.
If tomorrow I tell you, by the way, Mr. Biasucci, you got to wrap your face with, I don't know, a pink shirt, because
Right.
that's going to save you from whatever. The mayor of Kingman told us in their executive whatever proclamation of a grandioseness, forget about the mask. You could also make up your own little how you call it, face,
Standards,
diaper, whatever you call. I mean, face homemade bandana. Excuse me, bandana. That's completely also another absurdity and insult to logic.
Yeah.
So that's the bottom line. This mask, as I say, I'm not doctor. Check it out. But this mask, unless you get the real stuff that Senator Borrelli used to have when he was a Marine. There you get the NBC mask that will stop viruses and chemicals. That's okay. But for the rest, this stuff is going to just avoid if you spit. And some spit doesn't go in my food. That's it.
Well, and Luca, really quickly, we talk about like common sense being gone, right?
Yeah.
And you saw this in the news with the mask. Like, one mask, it doesn't work. Okay, it works. No, now you need 2 masks.
Let's
Now you
make
need
3.
2 masks and the shield. It's like, what the hell? What?
I got
Like,
a shield. Captain America shield.
Yeah, and it happened in committee on Thursday
Yeah.
with Democrats. We're in committee. The mask thing has been released now from the governor, right? And so you have a Democrat who literally has a cubicle of plexiglass on
Mhm.
each side of her seat.
Walls.
She has 2 masks, and she's yelling at the Republican who's across the room with no mask on,
Oh
saying,
my God.
"We can't do this because you have no mask. I'm in danger."
Wow.
Are you nuts?
Wow.
Like, you're vaccinated, you have 2 masks, you're in a bubble of plexiglass. How in the hell is the virus going to penetrate that?
It's the same theory. Like, I'm jogging now. I'm on diet. It's not going to work. I'm not going to lose weight unless you're on diet too. My
Right.
Hey,
Exactly.
we have
There
here
it is.
Mr. Bob, brother Bob.
Yeah. Once again, if they call it a ham sandwich, but we know it's bologna.
Hi,
Hey, Bob.
guys. Thanks for being here today. My question is, in Texas, they started Operation Lone Star via the governor being aggressive against the onslaught of illegal aliens. I was wondering, I know we have a rhino here for governor, but I'm not supposed to say that out loud, right? Sorry. But anyhow, my question is, okay, what can you guys do to be aggressive with the large amount of illegal aliens we're going to have to deal with?
Sure. No, good question. Senator Borrelli, you can jump in, then I'll jump in.
Yeah,
in a minute.
well, we're already starting doing that pushback, reminding the governor how much power and authority that he has and what tools that he has at his fingertips. All he has to do is just execute and do that. As far as the wall goes, like I said, we've been pressuring, send this National Guard down there to augment Border Patrol and those guys, but we also have the Border Security Strike Force. Arizona does have a Border Security Strike Force. When Governor Ducey first got elected, he wanted that. We pushed that through the budget. So we had that thing stood up that Department of Public Safety actually runs. And that's pretty much a counter drug operation. So we already have the tools in place to augment that. We just need to pressure the governor, give the governor the confidence that we'll back him up on it. And that's where that's where I come in. And we're going to try to give it. Look, Governor, you got the people behind you. Here's the confidence. You can do this. It's the right thing to do. Now, the federal government is already, Biden through executive order has stopped halted all construction of the wall. Fortunately, he's violating the law because Congress de-appropriates. So you cannot de-appropriate through executive order. So there are several congressmen, in fact, who filed lawsuits those executive orders and to continue funding the wall. Now, we are looking at something through our budget because, believe it or not, we could build that fence cheaper, same standards, same everything, cheaper than the federal government because we don't have all the restrictions of the federal government on bids and contracts and stuff like. We could do it differently and a lot cheaper, like 5 times cheaper.
Yep.
So
Wow.
we're looking at using some of our money to do that and also do it on portions of Arizona where it's state land, not federal land. So we do have some angle here to work with. There's going to be, as far as I heard, that there's going to be a strike everything amendment in the Senate appropriations hearing on Tuesday or Wednesday. They might have two, to introduce legislation to fund completing the fence on the border. So we're not letting this go by, and we don't, unfortunately, we don't work as fast as we'd like to, but it's not going unnoticed, and we're not going to allow that to lay down either.
And it's kind of the setup of his answer about us building the wall ourselves on state land, which we can do now, which we can appropriate now. A bill passed, I think it was a year or two ago, from Warren Peterson, who was in the House, and that allowed people on their personal property, that because you have a lot of land that's up to the border that's personally property owned. We even passed a law that said they can build a wall if they wanted.
Yeah.
They didn't have to have any of these extra, approvals or what from the city. Your own property, you can build a wall how you want it. So I think a mix of all that, with the state doing it, people doing it. Bottom line, I'm done with the feds, right? I'm done with trying to depend on them and think that they're going to help, especially now, right, with this Biden administration. To me, it's gone from America first to America last, right? And this is obvious everywhere you look. He doesn't care. He's selling out this country. They know what they're doing. So at this point, the states need to step up. It's time for us to step up and just tell them to.
And by the way, we might hijack one of your bills in approps and strike everything on one of your bills on that. So
Do it. I don't care. All the other stuff is
we'll sacrifice a lot of things.
This is great. We truly believe that this is not a joke. Like, try to be light sometimes, but I'm truly believe this is the toughest, the most dangerous time this republic ever went through.
Absolutely.
Even when we had 1815, when the British came back, or during the revolution, at least we know that's the target. Shoot straight. The problem now, the enemy is behind.
That's right.
It's not in front of us.
The enemy is within. Right.
And it's so terrible what they're doing, and we're here looking and witnessing. I'm so proud. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Normally, I'm pretty, stern, and sometimes, I'm not always. Sometimes I'm a pain in the arse. Okay, you know that. But I'm so proud of you guys, and I really do, because you're giving us a chance to stand back, fight back, stand up, and you represent our values, at least here for sure in Arizona, in our district. And this is great, because that's the way we're gonna take it back. I truly believe we go back to city, county, state. That's where we live, by the way, most of the time. Yes, they're messing us up with our federal, taxes, with our, price of, look at this. I was cursing in 3 languages the other day when I went to the gas station. Okay, I mean, this is insane. I don't understand. Forget about political parties. If you're a human being, an American, working people, that you had to feed your children and you had to pay your rent or mortgage, and then you had to move, you had to drive somewhere. How can you do that now and be happy? Say, okay, I'm so proud of this. I'm just gonna pay $50 more every time I fill the tank.
Yeah.
For no reason. The same garbage oil that we used to have now is just gonna be more expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it is illogical. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I would say these people are mental.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about it, Luca. 3 months. That's all it took.
Yeah.
3 months. Gas is through the roof.
Yeah.
Pipeline is shut down.
Yeah.
Borders are open.
Jobs are lost.
Jobs are lost. Infringement on our Second Amendment. This 3 months is all it took. I mean, Biden is on track at this point to sign 1,000 executive orders in 4 years.
I am. This is my opinion, okay? I never served in this country, but only I won't say one thing. I remember that when Mr. Obama, and this is my opinion, wasn't a president, was born in Kenya, but that's another story. Let's move on. My point was, he did a big purge of all our top brass. The last couple of years, the best generals, the people that normally they were more patriotic, they were gone suddenly. That was in the news. It wasn't a conspiracy.
Right.
And now maybe it starts to make sense, because if I was a soldier, still active duty in this country, I don't know how to spell it out, but for me, that was a treason that I had the oath to defend because at that point, I don't care. They don't come with the tanks yet, or they don't come with the Chinese foreign troops that, by the way, were sitting in Canada just a few months ago, or in Mexico, in Senada. The point is already act of treason. So I don't know the details, but I would have done something because from what I understand now, we have a bunch of rats put themselves around a little bit of a cage, ready to be locked. That's the way I look at the positive side. That cage around the Washington is ready to become next Guantanamo Bay. Because these people are treasonous. And this is me talking, not Senator Borrelli, not Representative Biasucci. I'm really, truly believe it. We've been occupied. This is it. Now we got to fight back, and this is the way. We go back from state and everything. Now let me shut up and let me get our brother Dave. Before we forget, don't forget, that's the way we support our operations. We are not the government stealing from you. This is for Mr. Senator Borrelli. And this, of course, for you, Biasucci, Zanna Coffee. Here we go.
Hey.
ZannaCoffee.com, the best organic coffee. Start your day with a
had
bag,
one.
straight shot
Delicious.
espresso. Senator Borrelli, I'll make you another one, okay?
Okay.
Because we believe in free market. We do not rob you like the government, okay? Here we go.
It's gonna need a coffee grinder now.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to ask you,
Dave from Golden Valley, right?
right, yeah, my name's David Johnson from Golden Valley, and I'm one of his students. He beats me up every day.
Hey, he beats me up every day. I'm not kidding. I got witnesses.
But anyway, what I wanted to ask you, you know, all of us, including myself, and you served in the military, so did
Yeah,
I.
Sonny
Oh,
did.
oh, you served in
Yeah.
the military. Okay. So, you know, we serve for a purpose, you know, for our country and our Constitution. And I see that being, you know, just talked away, really. They say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Okay, what I want to ask you is on your bill that you're sending to the governor on guns legislation, what if he won't sign it? Where do we go then?
Thank you. Great question. Thank you.
You want to answer that one?
Go
Which is a real possibility, right? I mean, he could veto the bill.
Mhm.
He could veto the bill, and unfortunately, we're only 31-29 in the House.
Wow.
You need a supermajority to override any veto. Not going to happen, right? This bill was already it only passed by party lines. All the Dems voted no. Let's hope he doesn't veto this thing. If he vetoes this thing, I mean, I don't know how he walks back in this office in the state of Arizona. I really don't. I mean, you're talking about vetoing a bill that is literally saying the Arizona gun laws are more important and stronger than the feds, whatever they do. Like, how do you go against your own state? How do you do that?
Let's not forget the oath of office to defend and protect the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Now, right there is in violation. Senator Borrelli, what do you think?
Well, number one, if the feds, I don't believe the governor would veto that. The governor is actually very pro-Second Amendment. He is a
Okay.
pro-Second Amendment governor. Even in our own law, even during this pandemic, where he used executive powers during the pandemic, even it's in our Constitution that even under a state of emergency, the governor cannot try to disarm the people. So we have a very, very strong Second Amendment Constitution in Arizona.
Yeah.
So, and of course, then it comes down to the enforcement part. This goes back down to our county sheriffs.
Yes.
You know, we
Yes.
know about Sheriff Richard Mack. He pushed back on the Clinton administration on when they were doing that. There's same thing with the semi-automatic rifles and everything else. So, but it comes down to our county sheriffs pushing back, saying, "No, we're not going to help. We're not going to support, and we're not going to allow you to come into my county and do anything." Because for example, if you don't have if he hasn't deputized like the Bureau of Land Management, he hasn't our sheriff hasn't deputized them. So very limited power. So it's up to our county sheriffs to literally push back on that. Now, city government, now the police, you know, that's under the purview of of your mayor and council. So these are the things that, once again, all politics being local, that's where that local support and pushback's got to come from.
Yes, very good. We're gonna go a little
Did I
bit.
answer your question, sir?
David, did you like that? Did he answer your question?
Well, yeah, well, one thing I wanted to ask too was, what if all of this fails? What can we do as property owners? I'm going to protect my property. I'm going to protect my family. I got a fence around it. And I saw, you know, in New York and I've been in Portland. I was born in Portland. All those places, They invaded the people. What is our protection? I know what you said about the county sheriff, but what about us if they come in like they've been coming in mobs and coming over fences?
Mhm.
I don't-
Well,
go ahead,
well,
Senator.
when these things happen, the police are minutes away. When seconds count, you have a right to protect yourself and your property and protect others. So you have that right, and it's in law. So when minutes count, the police are, seconds count, minutes are, the police are minutes away. You have a right to defend yourself if you feel that you're gonna.
We're
life
still in
or harm.
Arizona. We're still in
Yeah.
Arizona. We're
Yeah.
not in Portland, Oregon, and we're far from that. Thank
Yeah.
God. Okay. Here we go. Another
Yeah.
new sister in freedom. What's your name again?
Kathy,
Kathy. Go ahead.
from Golden Valley. I just heard that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has banned
Yeah.
concealed carry, open carry for Alaska, Hawaii, Nevada, California, Washington, Arizona, and Nevada.
Yeah.
Can that be?
Well, what that article says is the Ninth Circuit Court ruled that
you.
states can that concealed carry is not a right, and so on and so forth, or even open carry. They said that could affect Arizona and these other states. Could affect. The courts do not have any authority over us. They just interpret law. Obviously, that's going to get appealed, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court. So the Ninth Circuit Court they cannot enforce anything. They can interpret the law. That's what the judiciary is for. That's why we call it the Ninth Circus Court.
Yeah.
So
Very liberal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it's no surprise. I mean, everything's happens for a reason, right? The Ninth Circuit Court came out. They did their liberal spew about this gun control, and then here comes Biden a few days later with this. This is all planned, right? This is all just they try to push this on us, and this is why I keep reminding people it comes back to the states. This is why you have to make sure you elect people who are true to their word, right? They go in and they do what they say they're going to do. They don't go there and then they're a whole different person, which happens a lot in politics. You have people, like I said, they're too scared to do the right thing. They're worried about moving up along the ranks and going to Congress and going to wherever, and so they don't want to ruffle feathers. You guys have to make sure you elect the right people, and I can't emphasize that enough, because you have people that will infiltrate into an elected position, and when that happens, you have no control. I mean, you can do recalls, but we all know how hard that is.
Yeah.
We all know how hard recalls are.
Yes.
So you got to wait until the next election cycle comes in.
Yes.
But the key is figure out who's running, figure out the candidate, and spread the word. Make sure people vote in the right people, because there's not many patriots left. I hate to say that,
Yes,
but
sure.
there aren't.
So then it's still legal in Arizona?
Yes,
to
ma'am.
open
Don't even-
carry
Don't
and-
even listen.
or
I tell
concealed
people,
carry
don't even
without
listen to
a
the Ninth
permit?
Circuit Court. Don't even. I mean, I hate it, but
we have a law in Arizona that
Don't
says
even
you
worry
can
about
constitutional carry, which means you do not have to have a concealed weapons permit. As long as you're not a prohibited possessor, like you're a felon or anything like that, you can legally carry.
Second Amendment still
Right.
applies.
yeah, absolutely
And
correct.
see, a lot of people, when the left is saying things like, we need to have more background checks, that's code for gun registry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you're applying for a firearm and you got to go through the background check, then they know that you're on their radar. See, so they know you purchased one.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, criminals are not going to go into the gun store and buy a gun.
Right.
Because if
Exactly.
they're already a prohibited possessor, they're not going to be able to get one legally. They're going to get one illegally, which is, which you spend more money on the street through the black market. But like I said, it's code words for gun registry, because we know who has them.
That's right.
Funny, the mass shooter in Colorado recently, he passed his background test.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he bought it right illegally. He bought it
So
legally.
that's why the
legally.
criminal will always
and,
find
and,
the gun.
and Colorado's got some very, very strict gun laws.
Yeah,
And where did he go? He went to a gun-free zone.
Yes.
that's right. That's right.
Perfect. Please.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
they do.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There we go. What's your name?
I'm Tony from Golden
Hey,
Valley,
Tony.
and my question is the children, and not to do with masks, just education.
Hmm.
We had Greatest Generation, and the liberals have been working on this for generations.
3.
The Greatest Generation now is about gone. We, the baby boomers, who are the children of them, are getting older now. So next generation and the next and the next. So they've taken over the children. So what can we do to get the schools back to reading, writing, and arithmetic and get all this social and liberal crap out of our schools and out of our kids' heads?
Thank you. That's a great question. And it's a great point. I'm going to jump in that, and then Sonny
Yes,
can jump in. One thing I highly recommend. So Lake Havasu Unified School District just did this. You guys can do it in your school districts if you demand it, right? So Lake Havasu School District was about 2 or 3 years ago. They changed one of their schools, it was Oro Grande, to Hillsdale College. You guys all know what Hillsdale is?
Yes.
So they did that for K through 3. Okay, and that's going back to the roots of what we should be teaching, right? It's an incredible program from Hillsdale, and it was so successful that they are now doing the entire school district under this program starting next year. The entire Lake Havasu Unified School District. But that happened because you had a great person on the school board, Nicole Cohen, who pushed it. And then eventually the people got behind it, and the citizens came to the school board meetings and they demanded it at this point. So now it's going through the whole school program. So I highly recommend you guys have to do the same thing here. I mean, enough voices come out, things change. And they're already seeing incredible things from that program being done. Because you're right. You go to the universities, all they're doing is just brainwashing our kids, our
Indoctrinating.
students, right? They're indoctrinating our students with this liberal, socialistic idea that socialism is great and free this and open borders. And I've been lucky enough to travel all over the world. I've been to, I think, over 45, 50 countries. I've been to Asia, China. I've been to Dubai. I've been to all over the world, and it's all the same thing. People want to leave there and come to the United States. Why? Because we're not socialists. We're not when I was in Cuba, I mentioned this last week. I was in Cuba, and I remember this lady telling me, I am told where to get my food, when to get it, what job I can have. I mean, they're told what to do. That is social. That's dictatorship. And that this is what the people want. It's because they don't understand. They haven't traveled to see all this. You've traveled, Luca. You know, right? You people that do not understand what it really means. It sounds nice, free this, free that, and whatever. It's not. It's not what people are coming across this border because of freedoms that we have. They're escaping that, and we just and it's the problem is it's happening in our educational system. We're being taught these our kids are being taught the wrong thing, and I'm asking you all demand the curriculum be changed. Demand you see the sex ed they're trying to push on our kids because some of this stuff is horrendous.
Critical race theory.
Critical race theory is ridiculous, and it's just speak up. You got to speak up. We'll do what we need to do at the state level to protect, but the people are the strongest voice
So-
out of anybody.
Is there somebody in Lake Havasu that I could contact
Absolutely.
to, see how to go about this in
Absolutely.
our area?
Before I leave today, I'll get you a contact information.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
what hit the nail right on the head, that it starts locally. You have to go and get involved in your local school boards because you're the customer. The
Yeah.
parent is the customer. You're the taxpayer, and you need to demand that the service be provided the way it's supposed to be provided. And they always pull this garbage. Well, I'm a teacher and I'm educated and I know, and just because you're not a teacher, you're like uneducated. They think that you're stupid and they play this elitist game. Well, bottom line is no, you're the expert because it's your child.
Yes.
It's not their child. It's not the
Right.
government's child. It's your child. You're the customer. You're the taxpayer. You need to demand the service that you're actually paying for. We don't put up with it in any other stores or any other places we go to. We get bad service. We just don't go there. We vote with our feet, with our money. We go
Yes.
somewhere else. Same thing. We push out more school choice programs
Yep.
that the states has been leading the way. And it's amazing how these school choice programs really help out the inner city schools that are coming from the inner city kids that are coming from failing schools to be able to take the empowerment scholarship account and go to another school, a private school, a charter school. But then they're like, well, but our taxpayer monies are going to rich white kids' schools. Well, so wait a minute. So if you're a black kid or a Hispanic kid in a failing school, now you don't want your kid to go to a rich white kid school when you have an opportunity and you're the taxpayer and here you get to do this. The arguments are crazy when you hear this.
It's called
Be-
freedom. You
because-
choose where you want to
because
spend your money.
I call it the education industrial complex only cares about employing adults rather than teaching children.
That's
That's
right.
that's the end game right
Yeah.
there.
What's your name?
Judy.
Judy, here we go, Judy.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
I'm just curious, why no one has mentioned the Luciferians, because these politicians are that. They do worship the Lucifer. They're Satanisms or Satanists. They also are into pedophilia. It goes hand in hand. So I'm just curious why no one has mentioned that, and because ultimately that's the real problem there, and the 13 bloodline families that are in control, and and the deep state. I mean, all the trillions went to the deep state and building, space program and stuff. But you think the fixing the ballots in election is going to solve the problem to the big picture? Because I've done a little bit of my own research, and I mean, I believe there are extraterrestrials, negative ones, that have infiltrated into our system, and no one's really talking about that, and I rarely hear people talking about it. So
Okay.
that is
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Perfect. And I want to let you answer, okay,
Yeah.
guys? Let me interact for. You know what? It's
Real
every
quick.
question is good here, and I love it. By the way, this is the beautiful thing about radio show. We're not telling you there is no censorship. There is no. I'm not going to ask you what question you're going to ask. It's great. I agree with you, by the way, on some of the things you said. They're perfectly. We know that they've been families been running this not just in America, in Europe. Like the Rothschild, they own the banks of the all central banks around Europe. This is a fact. Our private bank is not federal; it's private. We understand that it's controlled by the same people. And the way I look at this, there is a different layers of way we fight it. We have here legislators that are no exorcists. Don't get me wrong. I wish they were. We need some holy water here and a couple of shotguns around, okay? But they're doing, in my opinion, what they're doing as the legislators to try to stop this evil. Now, these people that you just mentioned, they use the dimension of our governments as an instrument of evil. And I completely believe that. The fact that they can say we can abort 70 million little children in the last 40 years, or they can put, these aborted cells in the vaccines. That's not the way they put you into these sort of evil rituals. Now, legislators, they may aware or not, I don't know, I don't speak for them, but I know that we hire them to do what they can at the legislative point of view to fight this evil. If they can stop like these, I call it killing children unborn. In this case, we have great people that they believe in life. They can defend our rights to defend ourselves from evil. That's the Second Amendment. That's the way they can also support the clean election, that we can still have some sort of a voice in this. That's the way our politicians, they can interfere. Now, I'm a different guy. I'm not an elected person, and maybe I'm a little more, but I believe in you. There are 13 families, or maybe even more or less, doesn't matter, that they've been ruling the world the last few hundreds of years. They control governments to control people. Now, who are really these people? Are they all humans, or maybe they are mixed with something else? I don't know for sure. But for what I understand, they're already subhumans because they want to destroy humanity. Bill Gates, for example, whatever it is, I don't care if he's from Mars or from New York, the guy, he wants to kill us all. I mean, they want us to eat plastic meat. They want us, drive a donkey. And at the same time, meanwhile, they have all the opposite in their situation. So now, shut up. This was just my humble answer to you. And let me have, Senator Borrelli, Representative Biasucci give you their answer. Go ahead, guys.
Well, there is some things that we're trying to take care of. Unfortunately, there is a media blackout. So why isn't anybody hearing about it? Well, it's because there's a media blackout. We call it the Democrat propaganda machine. They're only going to give you information they want you to hear. This is why you've these private podcasts and news sources that is actually, getting that word out. Well, you got, One America News, you got Newsmax. These conservative outlets are actually helping us get the word out because we know the media is going to bury a story, especially if it makes the Democrats look bad. So as far as the sex trafficking goes, and of course, the First Amendment gives you the right to worship or not worship in any way you want, as long as you're not infringing on somebody else's rights. Pedophilia is against the law. We all agree it's an abomination, but it is already against the law. But we have legislation, we already have laws that prevent that. But you know, the rich and powerful seem to always get around that because they have their little cabal and their protectionism and the way to silence the information going out. But I'm gonna hand that one off to you, to Leo here, because Leo's got some great legislation that's been going through, and I believe we're going to be voting on it this week. We already put one of those bills
Mr. Cal.
through Cal
Yeah.
on Thursday. So go ahead.
So real quick, I'll touch on that one real quick. So we talked about it last week. I have a bill that's it's specifically addressing child pedophilia, sex trafficking, all those categories: sex trafficking, child pedophilia. What it does, it changes it to life in prison without parole. So you get caught sex trafficking a child, you get caught sex trafficking in general. Any of those categories, child pornography, if you're filming, producing, no more parole, no more probation. You're in prison for life, and without chance of parole or getting out early. And that is something that just what you talked about with the elites, right? You talk about the Epstein situation. There's a guy who was doing this, and then initially when he got arrested in 2005, he was in jail for I think 18 months with work release. He was gone all day. He came home. He came to the jail to sleep at night. This is a man who destroyed children's lives, right? You look at the research, and it's incredibly sad and disturbing what happens to a child. And we all have to get that. Like a child who's 5, 6, 7 years old, who's in the sex trafficking ring, they're never the same. They're ruined. That person that did that to them should be in jail for life, forever. Now, people said, well, they should be a death penalty. No, I want them in prison. I want them to suffer every day. And then I want somebody in prison to find them and treat them like they treated that child for the rest of their life. I want them to feel that pain of what they did to that child. So just so you know, that is being addressed with this bill. It'll be voted on next week in the House or in the
All
Senate.
right.
So that's great. Everything else you talked about, I'm going to take my legislator hat off. I'm sure the media will come after me anyway, but my secret excitement too is this idea of aliens and extraterrestrials. I find it fascinating. I mean, it's fascinating. Like I've never seen it. I've never experienced it, but I watch a different podcasts, and I remember a Joe Rogan podcast. There's two of them. One where there was an Air Force pilot who was on Joe Rogan, and this is public. He came out publicly and he said he's off the coast of California, and there's some kind of UFO that went from 60,000 feet to sea level in 2 seconds, just dropped, boom. And they're watching on the radar. They could not keep up with it. They couldn't find it. You had another guy who admitted that he worked at Area 51. He saw 7 different aircrafts in a hangar that were all extraterrestrial. I mean, this stuff is fascinating. Sadly, I don't know. I don't think Sonny knows. Like, we've never seen it. We don't get into that. So I wish we could say, yes, it's true for sure. I don't know. But it's fascinating.
All I can say, though,
incredible.
regardless now, who are these people? Can be just crazy humans, or can be, because after all, they can be just crazy people. But the agenda.
Well, we don't know. I mean,
Well,
some,
yeah,
of,
I know
some of
that-
their rejects, they might actually put it on Earth, and and guess what? Now they're elected on the Democrat side. So, I
Listen,
mean,
but
I
I guess
you don't know.
we have it from both sides.
You're right, both sides.
The agenda against humanity,
Yeah.
that's what really matters. Now, they can be from planet Earth, or they can be from some other part. Doesn't matter. But
But I did read a book that said women are from Venus. So
maybe these politicians from I don't know which planet, crazy land. Okay, but the reality is
Not
one
us,
though. Look at this. We have some people in government and also outside government. They are not just government. Look at Bill Gates, or look at other people that they are on the same type of agenda. They believe that humanity is a cancer. They believe that somehow they are the gods to decide how many people are supposed to live on the planet. They do this. This is a fact through governments, through also scarcity. I mean, if I have, for example, I don't know, rabbits. I like animals. If I want to stop their reproduction, because rabbits, they go pretty fast. They peep, 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 peep. Guess what? Stop the food. They will stop their reproduction. Now, what they're doing to us here is already giving us the scarcity. This pandemic, this travesty was to create a great reset. It's not my words, it's their words. To destroy the middle class, to destroy happiness, to destroy prosperity. Now, everybody's going to be so broke. When you're broke, you're not going to think about making children, right? You barely just try to go through. And that's a fact. Gas price, Europe, the rest of the world is already there. They need to put us down. Now, look at also the economy in general. Little bit of wars, maybe they can put a little extra diseases of funny diseases, and guess what? Humanity is completely now, that's their target. Now, same story, the resources. You know, Agenda 21. That's from the United Nations. They try to implement it here in Arizona. That's the way they control our water, our land, our resources. So, regardless where they're from, this is my humble opinion. The agenda is against humanity. Maybe just suicidal people, I don't know. But we're here with legislators try to fight back for our freedom. We have a kind of, over the time for the radio show, we will broadcast also
Yeah.
the all interview here on our socialcontactclub.com. And of course, it's going to be also on 1340 AM and 104.1 FM on the air. But on the air, of course, we're going to have just the first hour. Now, since we have people here, I would like to say, let's give the floor, first of all, for one more round.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say, guys, before we close. Senator Borrelli, Representative Biasucci, you got the floor. Go ahead.
Let me jump in real quick. One more thing I want to add. Heartbeat bill.
Right.
So that bill is now going to be heard in the Senate on one of my bills. It's a strike everything, and it's literally that heartbeat. The moment that heartbeat is there, you cannot commit. You cannot have an abortion anymore. So it's time to save lives. The unborn are just as important as the born, and I firmly believe that, and hopeful that'll pass. So
Very
yeah.
good.
But
Thank
anyway,
you.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Senator.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. It's being struck on Leo Biasucci's bill, and it's going to be in the Senate Appropriations Committee. That's going to be an interesting thing because, the Democrats, they could care less about children's lives unless they're actually going to get funded for it. And a lot of people don't understand that Planned Parenthood is a nonprofit organization, and the federal government gives money to Planned Parenthood, who in turn takes that money and funnels it to the Democrat causes and Democrat candidates. So, that's a classic example of money laundering, but it's your tax dollars that are actually funneling and funding the federal government on the lives of babies.
Wow.
I mean, think about that, folks. It's an abomination. However, we're going to be pushing that bill through the Senate. I'm confident that it's going to get out of the Senate. Then it's going to have to go back over to the House for Representative Biasucci either to concur or refuse the strike everything amendment. But I think I got pretty fair to say that he's going to concur, and then we'll try to get it up on the board. So I just want to tell everybody, improve your net, hire a vet. God bless you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and really quickly, again, just like I said last week, just don't give up, guys. I mean, all the listeners out there that are frustrated with this administration, frustrated with how things are going, we're going to keep fighting here at the legislature. I know Sonny and I will take the arrows. I mean, we'll get up here and fight. We just need you guys boots on the ground. We need you guys to spread the word. You need to not think your vote doesn't count and just go away and think I'm not going to vote anymore. It doesn't matter. It matters now more than any other time in history in this country because we're seeing what will happen if we stop voting. We're seeing socialism come into this country through this administration. And you all know Kamala is going to be president within a year. We all know this. We all knew that, if not sooner, within weeks. And when she gets into that position, it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. And I just want you guys to know we're never going to stop fighting at the state level. Just please don't give up.
Yeah, don't abandon us.
Don't abandon
we're
us.
fighting. We're fighting hard. We're fighting for you. The media is going to come after us and call us all kinds of bad names and everything else. Mark Twain said, if you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you read it, you're misinformed. So, be careful what you're reading. Look for the I call the liberal sin, the three things you need to look for, the liberal sin and SIN. They'll shift the subject, ignore the facts, and then name call. So we just ask, don't abandon us. We're fighting for you. They're going to come after us. When they're coming after us, that means we're over the target.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. When you're over the target, they shoot anti-aircraft guns and flak up at you. So that's when we'll know we're on the right track. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you guys
Thank you,
very
guys.
much. Thank you, Senator Borrelli.
you.
Thank you, Representative Biasucci. And please, you listeners or member of the audience, that's what we can do. Not just listen, but speak up. And I invite, we still have a phone till we can afford it, get a phone, call our governor, be polite, but be stern. Call our other people that they're supposed to work for us. As you say, the school district, these people, they are not just some private, enterprise. They are work with our tax dollars. So we have the right to tell them what we want, what we desire, okay? So this is the first thing I think we should really do. Start to be not afraid, not be shy, to go out there. And then, of course, broadcast the information. That means that you can become the broadcaster, get other meetings, get people. By the way, don't forget, join the resistance. Come to the Social Contact Club. This is the center of the resistance. I'm sorry, but this is the truth. And also, as I said in my radio commercial, I'm not shy about it. If you voted for Biden, I don't want you here. This is not Red Cross. This is not about piece of bread. It's about like-minded people. If you believe in freedom, in the United States Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, I call you brothers and sisters. Go to socialcontactclub.com and see you next time. Thank you.
Well done. Good job, Luca.